Hello, and welcome to AP Statistics. I am Mr. Seplik, and for those of you that don't know me, a handy pronunciation guide. Seplik. That's me. If that's not necessarily too difficult, but if you'd rather, you can call me Mr. C. Either one's fine by me. Doesn't really matter. So, welcome to AP Statistics. I love teaching this class, but it looks a little different this year, obviously. At least until September 9th, this course will be online, and potentially longer than that, we don't know yet. But I think one of the nice things is this class really lends itself well to being online as well as in person. You will miss out on some of the class discussions, which is a little unfortunate. You won't be able to get feedback in real time if you have questions about something that's in a lecture, for instance. But there will be opportunities for you to ask questions and engage in dialogue with me or your other classmates, perhaps. So it's not like you're completely cut off from the world and e-learning is strictly worse than being in person. There are benefits. Speaking of e-learning, I want to dispel any misconceptions that there might be about how this year is going to work, because it is different than e-learning was in the past. A lot of you are juniors and seniors. In fact, I think you might all be juniors and seniors, not sure, I haven't looked that up recently. But years ago, e-learning was like one day at a time, just here and there. Teachers had to make their lessons well beforehand, so the lessons most times didn't really match up with what you were learning in class. It was kind of seen as like not really school. The students tended to care less. Teachers may have cared less. It didn't really matter what you did on e-learning day. Then in the spring, we had e-learning 3 days a week, or maybe 2 days a week at the end of the year. Again, teachers were caught off guard, so lessons had to be changed. The grading system was really lax. You either got an A or an F, and I'm guessing most of you that are in this class got A's in all your classes, even if you only did B or C work, perhaps. So you weren't really held accountable, necessarily, like you normally would be. This year, e-learning is going to be pretty similar to traditional school. If there is a school day, there will be e-learning on that day. I would imagine if you're in this class, you're going to have work in all of your classes every day. You certainly will for this class. You'll either have a lecture video to watch like this one. There will be the occasional quiz, test, something like that. But you will have something every single school day. And most weeks that's going to be 5 days a week. Grading is going back to the original scale, A, B, C, D, F. So you will be accountable for what you do and do not complete. So if you thought that this year was going to be like this spring was, it's a little difficult to get back into the mindset of being in real school, especially since you won't be reporting in person. If possible, you should try soon, if you don't already have a plan, to make a plan as to when you are going to do your work for every class. I'm not saying you have to wake up like you normally would and go to school from 7:30 to 2:30 and pretend that every class is 45 minutes long. That wouldn't be a terrible idea, but I know for a lot of you that's either impossible or very difficult. But you should carve out, at least for this class, about a 45-minute period every day to go through the video lecture if there is one. If there's homework, that would be in addition to the 45 minutes, just like it would be during a regular school day. Okay, I will be a little more lenient in terms of assignment due dates during this e-learning period. It's not going to be exactly like we were in normal school, but there's no substitute for getting stuff done. And if I assign work, I expect it to be completed. by the time that I say it should be completed, unless there is something we've agreed upon in advance as a reason to why it should be extended for a due date. But we'll talk about that a little later. Let me introduce myself a little bit. For those of you that know me, you've already heard a lot of this, so I apologize. But for those of you that don't know who I am, I'm Mr. Sepulk. I grew up in a town in southwestern Ohio, just north of Cincinnati, called Hamilton. And Anderson reminds me very much of my hometown. About 30, 40 years ago and further, my town was dominated by a series of paper mills that existed along the banks of the river that runs through my town. And my father worked at one of those plants, as well as many of the people of my town. But when I was about 8 or so, all the plants shut down. My father was out of a job, as were many of the people. My dad used to be able to walk to work if he wanted to on a good day. Now he drives 45 minutes to and from work in Cincinnati. And other people weren't as lucky. For decades, while I was going through school and afterwards, my town was a little bit economically depressed. I mean, the main source of employment in the town was gone. People had to work elsewhere. Some people didn't get back to work. Only now, recently, is it starting to get back to a semblance of where it was, but in a new way. An entrepreneur has decided that he wants to build an indoor sports complex, supposedly the largest one in North America, using one of the warehouses that the paper mill used to be in, repurposing it as the sports complex. It's pretty poetic, actually. And because of that one decision, businesses are coming back to town. Everything's coming back. It's an incredible turnaround, and I hope it works out. It hasn't been completed yet. But I hold a similar hope for Anderson. Ever since GM shut down, it's not been as good as it used to be. I think anyone will tell you that. But that doesn't mean there's not hope. I believe that Anderson has a lot of my hometown in it, and I hold out hope for it and the people in it. That's one of the reasons that I teach here. It's because I see that hope every day that I'm in the school. And even though we're starting out this year virtually, I think I'll still see that resolve with the students in the school. That just because they come from a place like Anderson doesn't mean they can't achieve the best thing they can. And you all deserve a quality education. That's what I'm set out to give you. And I hope all your other teachers feel the same way. But anyway, that's where I grew up. I went to college at Xavier University in Cincinnati, and that's where I met my wife. We graduated together and went to Texas A&M University to go to graduate school. The original plan was for us to get our PhDs. She was going for chemistry. I was going for statistics. That didn't quite work out the way we planned, so after 2 years, I left with my master's, and we moved to the Washington, D.C. area. I took a job at the U.S. Census Bureau, and she went to the Patent and Trademark Office. And it was nice working at the Census Bureau. I got to work with some world-renowned statisticians. I got to do interesting work. But after a while, I would wake up in the morning and just be like, I don't feel like my job is relevant. I feel like I am replaceable. Any number of people could come in and do my job just as well or better than I could. Nobody would even notice if I wasn't there because it's such a huge place. And so I was thinking, what should I do? And I thought back to when I was at Texas A&M. The way that we paid off our tuition as graduate students was that they'd have us teach classes to undergrads. So I actually taught undergraduate statistics courses while I was studying as a graduate student. My first class I taught at Texas A&M had 94 students in a giant lecture hall and one dog. 94 students and a dog. I don't remember if I've told that story to my probability and statistics classes. If you took that with me and I didn't give you the story, make sure to remind me and I will tell the story. It's a good one. But I That was the best, well, maybe the only good part of graduate school that I can remember. I loved coming up with material to teach. I loved being in front of a class, teaching people things that they needed to know, that were interesting, and that they could use in whatever they were going to do with their lives. And as I woke up every morning going to work at the Census Bureau, I was like, man, I really love to teach. Maybe I should be a teacher. So I told my wife that, and she's like, are you crazy? You really want to do that? I was like, I think I do. So after a while, I decided to quit my job, and I moved here to Indiana to go to Ball State for a master's in education. And while I was there, I was a student teacher at Anderson High School. My cooperating teacher was actually Mrs. House, if any of you know her. And after student teaching there, I saw my hometown in Anderson. The high school was pretty much my high school, about the same size, same demographics, same socioeconomic status. I loved it. I felt home. So I applied to be a teacher, and they said yes, and this is going to be my 4th year teaching here at Anderson High School. And I've taught this class ever since my first year. So that being said, over the summer, I completely reworked the entire course. I tore it down to the studs. I reworked every lesson, every quiz, every test, every homework assignment. Well, I'm still in the process of doing that. I'm a few months ahead, but I've still got some work to do. But that was before I knew that this was all going to be virtual. So I'm going to have to rework my rework a little bit, but we're going to make it work. It's going to be an interesting year, at least to start. And I'm excited. I hope you are too. But that's enough about me. It's time for me to transition a little bit. There is something that I'd like you to do for me. So give me just a sec, and I'll tell you what that is. All right. So let's talk about Canvas. This will be what you see when you log in to Canvas for the homepage of our AP Stats class. Get a nice picture of me and my wife there. This is your home for resources. Below you'll find links to everything you need for every unit. There will be 9 units total, but in the first semester I don't expect us to get through more than 5 units. I think that's fine. So I will say, if you've taken any AP classes in the past, you may have done some work in AP Classroom. For this class, all the quizzes and tests, all the assessments will be through AP Classroom. So that's all online. And that'll be either whether it's e-learning or whether we're back in the classroom. Those things will be online either way. So it's nice that, that's able to be done online. So my goal, and it's a little ambitious, is to keep everything on Canvas updated even if we return back to a traditional schedule. But at least for now, every day when you log in, you will see what you need to do that day by clicking on the link to the unit that we're on right now. So we haven't really started Unit 1 yet. That's where we'll start with tomorrow's lesson. But if you click on Unit 1, you will see what you need, and daily lessons are here. So this is where you'll go for seeing what you need to do on any given day. So if today that you're watching this is Wednesday, August 5th, you are watching this introductory video, which is great. That's what you need to be doing. It says welcome to probability and statistics. I'm going to change that by the time that you see this because I copied and pasted and didn't change that from my prob stats class. You will also complete the Google form below to let me know a little bit more about you. So this is what I want you to do for today. You'll click on that link and it will take you to this form. And normally I would ask you to put this information like on an index card during class, but since we're online, I figured, what the heck, turn it into a Google form. So I'm asking for a few things here. Your name and grade. I want to know whether you expect to be employed at a job during the fall semester. If you picked up a job or picked up more hours over the spring during e-learning and over the summer, you may be expecting that you can still keep that number of hours during the fall since we're not immediately coming back to school. But as I said at the beginning of the video, this time around e-learning is going to be a lot more like regular school. It's going to be a big time commitment. You're essentially starting out a full-time student for the semester. And especially if you're in upper level classes, that's going to be a lot of time that you need to spend. So I would never tell you to quit your job or to reduce your hours. If you need that money or anything like that, it can be done, I suppose. But just know that you're going to be spending as much time probably working on school as you did before all the e-learning started. Keep that in mind. So I want to know what hours of the day that you would generally expect to work. If that changes, you can say the different shifts that you might be working. It's important for me to know when you're available to work on things. And part of that reason is because I will be holding live virtual office hours, at least during the e-learning period here at the beginning of the year. And this is where you can get one-on-one or maybe small group help with me live on video during the day. This is the closest that we can get to in-person instruction during this e-learning time, and I am interested in whether you would take advantage of that opportunity. You might not know for sure whether you would be doing that or not, but chances are when I introduce the concept, you were either like, it's not really for me. I'm not going to do that. I was never really the person to raise my hand in class and ask a question. I'm probably not going to go online and talk to Mr. C over Zoom or Skype or whatever. I haven't decided what it's going to be yet. If you know you're not going to be using that, go ahead and put that 0. If you really like that concept, if you see that you're going to be asking questions and you want to be able to talk live one-on-one, put that absolutely there. Let me know that you are definitely interested in this. If you're not sure, you're probably somewhere in between. Maybe you don't see yourself using it, but it's possible. That would be somewhere low. Middle is if you're not sure one way or the other really, and if you're pretty sure but not convinced, you can do something higher like 7 through 9. On top of that, I would like to know when the best time period would be for me to hold these virtual office hours. Ideally, I'd like to make it about the same time every day or close to it so that people know when those hours are so they're not always changing all the time, so you're not asking, man, when's Mr. C's virtual office hours today? I'm hoping to keep them pretty static. And I've given several options here, and notice the first 3 are all during what would have been normal school hours. All teachers, at least at this time, are expected to report to the high school from 7:30 to 2:30 every day. So any of these first 3 time periods, I would be at the school, and I would be holding those virtual office hours from my room. That would be more convenient for me, considering I don't have a whole lot to do during the day while I'm at school, because I will be filming all of these lecture videos from home after I leave school. That being said, I have put some later times on here, afternoon and evening times. If that's what works for you because you'll be busy during the day or something like that, that's fine. Put what works best for you. And if it turns out a lot of people need those afternoon and evening times, I'll make it work. I will make the office hours so that the most people benefit as possible. And if I end up making those hours something that you aren't able to attend, but you want to ask questions and stuff like that, you can always shoot me an email. My email is on the Canvas homepage. You can shoot me a remind message, and I'll get to remind when we talk about the syllabus. There are still opportunities, and even if it's outside the hours that I choose, you might still be able to catch me if you ask. If nothing else, I can tell you when I will be available next, and we will make something work. My goal here is to make sure that no one gets lost, that anyone that has a question and wants to ask can ask that question and get an answer in a reasonable time. Okay, I'm a nice guy. Some of your classmates might be able to attest to that. Okay, I just want to answer questions. That's my job. I'm here to make sure people get it. And if you don't get it, I want to help. So, put when you are available. I also want to know, why are you in this class? And I leave it open for you to type whatever you want. I didn't make it multiple choice because I figure people all have their own reasons. Do you like stats? If you've taken the one semester probability and statistics course, you've got a decent idea of the kinds of things that we're going to talk about. Although we do get a lot more in depth in this class. I think that's a really cool thing. We'll be talking about a lot of things that maybe you wish we'd talked about in that class that are a lot more fun, I think. But I just want to know, do you think you might like statistics? Are you taking this class because I'm teaching it? I mean, it's possible, I suppose. Just put that there. I want to know how you feel about math and stats. And you can be honest. You don't have to love math to take this class and do well. I've had students that were much happier in an English or a history or language class, but they felt like they could still do what they needed to do. On the flip side, students that really, really like math can still be a little frustrated at times in this course because there is a decent amount of writing involved. It's not like a math class where you're given a problem and you just work through some formulas and find the answer and that's it. Statistics is all about things being unknown. So you are presented with a problem and you have to figure out what to do to solve it, and then you have to write your answer and justify it. Okay, there's a little more that goes on there. I'm not saying we're going to be writing essays. This isn't like honors English or anything like that, but you do have to be able to string a few sentences together and make it look good. And I will help you with that as well. You're not expected to already be, thorough or anything like that, but you do need to have some writing ability as well. So even if you hate math, you can still have a good shot at doing well here. I think everyone that wants to take this class is going to be good. Oh my gosh. I probably sound awful right now. I forgot to put my mic in front of my face. Maybe this sounds a little better. I'm sorry. I knew I'd forget. I'll get better as we go on. First day jitters. So, last question here. I wish my teacher knew. Anything you want to put on here that you think I should know, either just because you want me to know or because you think it'll help me be a better teacher for you. Some students put medical conditions that they want me to be aware of, what they might be going through outside of school that might explain why certain things are happening. Some students have told me what I would consider deep, dark secrets, but they wanted to share, and that's perfectly fine. If you don't want to share something, don't. Especially if you haven't had me as a teacher before. We're essentially strangers. You still technically haven't met me yet, so you don't have to share everything, but anything you want me to know, you can tell me right there. Anything that will help me be a better teacher for you, I'm interested. Okay. So, that is the form. I would like you to get that form done as soon as you can. If you could get that done today, that would be perfect. And that's pretty much your homework for today. But I do want to talk about the syllabus for this course as well. So going back to Canvas, I will go back home. The modules link for now isn't really helpful. That might be more useful as we get through more in the course. It will list everything we've done. For now, it's still pretty empty. Email, there's my email address. You can use that. That's my preferred contact method if you want to get a hold of me. I put my classroom phone number there as well, but I'm only there during school hours, and you're more likely to get a response from me on an email because while I'm at school, I could be doing any number of things, and chances are I might not even be in my room at any given time. So there you go. There's an attendance form here for e-learning. As of right now, I will be taking attendance in terms of if you contact me, if we have communication on a given day, if you're doing the assignments that I give you, you will be counted present in terms of your attendance. If you're not doing your assignments, if you're not contacting me, you will not be counted present. If you want to access this e-learning form every day and sign it to make absolutely sure you're counted as present, you can do that. That is not necessary. You do not need to sign this form every day to be counted present. That could change, but the guidance that we've gotten so far would suggest you don't have to do that. Just do what I ask you to do, and you'll be fine. Okay, so I want to talk about the syllabus for a little bit. Here we go. Let's blow this up a little bit. There we go. Okie dokie. So, this syllabus is very long. The College Board pretty much tells me what I have to put in here, and so there's a lot of stuff that you don't necessarily need to know. One thing is, in terms of supplies, you're going to need access to a graphing calculator of some kind. Whether it's a TI-83, TI-84, or the TI Nspire is the newest version. If you don't have one of these, it's possible to get one used for, it depends on if they're available, probably under $50 for a used one somewhere. You could get an even better deal like at a yard sale if you get really lucky. New, these things are going to cost over $100 probably. The Nspires go for a lot. Well over 100 probably new. I do recommend getting one. It is not cheap. If you are financially unable to get a calculator like this, then for the time being while we're doing e-learning, there is a free online TI-84 that I will show you how to use. It's completely free to you. You have access to it and all that. When it comes time for taking the AP test, you will not have access to the online calculator. You will have to have one. If you need one at that point, I can loan you one. I do have several in my room that I can loan you. But for e-learning, you can use the free online one. And once we're back at school, you can borrow one. But I really think that, especially if you're planning on going to college and taking STEM type classes of any kind, I would like to think that they would expect you to have one. So, again, for right now, you can use the free online one, and you don't even necessarily have to buy one later, but I think it's a good investment if you think you're going to use it later. Here's how the grades are calculated. Pretty standard, 25% for all your homework type stuff, 75% for quizzes and tests. You'll get an assignment every textbook chapter. So the course is organized by units, and the units are not the units in this book. Okay, this is the book. The book is separated by chapters, and there are 26 chapters in this book. So every chapter, you will get an assignment of several problems to work on, and you'll do those. At the moment, I am going to be pretty ambitious, and I'm going to say I'm going to grade your homework for correctness. The whole thing. Every problem. That might change if it takes too long. But my goal, at least for the first few assignments, is to grade every single problem on correctness. Because I want to put a premium on whether you have understood the content. Especially during this e-learning time when I'm not getting real-time feedback from you. It's important for me to be able to look at what you've done and see if you understand it or if I need to reteach something. Okay, that's super important to me as the teacher. So, at least at the beginning of the year, I'm going to grade on correctness. Don't blow the homeworks off. Okay, don't expect to get by doing the minimum amount of effort. Trust me, when I've reworked this course and I reworked the homework assignments, I've made them all shorter than they have been. So if you ask someone that took this class in the past what they thought and they said that there was too much homework, I've really cut it down. So I'm not going to swamp you with homework. The questions that I do assign you, I want you to do them well. That's what's most important to me. This is a quality over quantity type deal. So keep that in mind. There will be quizzes. You will know when they're coming out and do pop quizzes, so you have an opportunity to study. Those are through AP Central, like I said. The quizzes are only going to be like 20 to 25 minutes. Pretty short, like half a class period if we were in school. I reserve the right to curve them. I may not. It's based on the data, which is appropriate given that this is a stats course. Tests are essentially just quizzes, but twice as big, and they're at the end of each unit. So you'll have 9 tests throughout the year. The AP exam is Thursday, May 13th at noon. It's in the second week of AP exams, Thursday in the afternoon, so it will probably be the last AP test you take if you're taking multiple AP classes. Last year, the AP test was take-home because of what happened in the spring, and it was a very different format than what it is usually. As of right now, the College Board is saying that the test will go on as scheduled, normal, just the way we would expect it to be. If that changes, I will probably change how I teach the course as a result. I'm currently teaching it as if it is a normal AP stats test, and we'll talk more about that as we get closer to it. AP, you have to take the AP test for this class if you want to earn the weighted credit. So make sure that you do that. The test for this class is free, the AP test. So everyone that is in this class, by the time the AP test comes around, you should take it. There's really no reason not to. You might pass, who knows. There's writing involved in this course. You can feel free to read more of this on your own time. Okay, so this is what I put in here for this year. We won't be in school until at least September 9th. As a result, all learning will take place online. This will change how some things work. So for example, I've got some in-class activities that we would normally do. Obviously we can't do those. So instead, I'll just maybe simulate the data and we'll use that instead. It's not as neat, I guess, but it can still work. Every school day will have e-learning lessons. So again, I recommend making a plan as early in the year as possible, detailing how you're going to get everything done each day. Have a plan and stick to it. Grading will be traditional. Here I talk more about the calculators. If you're going to get one of these, I personally recommend the TI-84 Plus. It's got all the functionality you need. TI-83s will do about 95% of what you needed to do for this course, but it does lack the other 5%, which makes things a little difficult sometimes. The TI Inspire does everything you need it to. It's got all the bells and whistles. It's got a lot of functionality that we're not even going to use. And the user interface is way different than the 83 or 84. It's so different, in fact, that how you do most of the things we're going to talk about is completely different. You get to it in different ways, and I'm not going to teach both ways. I'll be teaching as if everyone has a TI-84. So if you already have an Inspire, that's fine, but you are going to have to take it upon yourself to figure out how to get to the things that we're using in class. The buttons I use will be for an 83 or 84. Just so you know. Okay, so if you want to know exactly what we're going to be doing in this course, the next a billion pages talk about everything we're going to do in all 9 units. If you're having trouble getting to sleep some night, pull this up on your phone and you'll be out like a light. There will be a final project at the end of the year. We'll talk a lot about that later. This is the AP exam schedule at the end of the syllabus, just in case you wanted to know when all your AP tests are going to be. If you're taking more than one, stats down here near the bottom. So unless you're taking bio or environmental science, I don't think those other two are even offered at Anderson, then this will be the last one that you take. So that's the syllabus. That's what you can expect from this course. I introduced myself. You're going to do this form. Turn that in for me so I know when to make my office hours. I'm really excited about teaching this class this year. And it being remote learning is not changing my mind. I'm still super excited. So I hope you are as well. I can't wait to get started in the next video with Chapter 1. And yeah, I guess I'll see you there. Have a great day.